So one of the things that since we were here tonight, I called Myra from the CCC. I said, Myra, you think Captain Marquez will come through? Because I heard that there was something happening. There was some looting happening, a lot of things happening in Altadena where people were trespassing on people's property. And there's a form that needed to be signed, and I thought it'd be befitting to give the captain a few minutes before we actually start, just to make sure we all have this information so we can get this done in the next 48 hours. Somebody say 48 hours. If we can all use our efforts to make sure that everybody does this form so their property can be protected, and out to the end of the day would be awesome. So without any further ado, please clap your hands for Captain Marquez.
Thank you very much. The past few months, I know that there's a lot of survivors in here. I had a conversation before I came to Altadena to work as the operations lieutenant. The former Captain Jabari Williams, we worked together a long time ago, and he told me all the great things about Altadena, and I didn't have a lot of experience working in Altadena. And so I came in, they asked me to come, and I started working in November. And I fell in love with Altadena. It's such a beautiful place. I would go out running in the morning and in the neighborhoods and just would pick out a lottery home that I would, if I won the lottery, I could own this one or that one. And it would change throughout the run usually. But after the fires, one of my former chief pulled me aside and said, you know what, Ethan, you're writing the book on this recovery. Nobody in the Sheriff's Department has ever dealt with something that you're dealing with right now. And I think that that's something that to be said, that this Altadena Eaton fire is the worst natural disaster, worst disaster to hit LA County in history. And they've been told that it's the second worst disaster to hit California. There's some, obviously there's going to be criticisms of things we do. And there is a learning curve also for me and my staff, but we're trying to do the best things we can for you. And when I talk a little bit about things that are happening, we always take into mind what's best for the community, and we're trying to give you the best outcomes at the most effective and least cost-effective, or at least costly method of providing the services we can. Just first of all, we are, at some points in time, we have tripled the staff. Like right now, we actually have quadrupled the staff working out Altadena that we would normally be having on a normal shift. Just to give you, that's happening today. And I know there's been some questions about the resources delivered to Altadena by the Sheriff's Department, by the county. They have not restricted me on providing resources to the community at all. Just so you know that as well. But we have to use our resources. I am accountable for the resources that we spend, and I have to dedicate those resources in areas that are effective as well, not just wasting money and wasting resources. Because when I do pull resources, I am pulling them from different parts of the county of Los Angeles as well. And I want to make sure we're providing everybody the best resources possible. So that's first of all. And as we started with the fire, that was the first phase of obviously the recovery once the fire was out. There was obviously a lot of what remained of people's property. There's a lot of vacant homes. And so we had to quickly brainstorm on what's the next steps that are going to be happening. And obviously, as far as even hours into the fire, I'm talking about hours into the fire, we already had looters coming in. But we had to make a decision, and it was a tough decision on our part, life versus property. And I know that there was some loss of life, and I'm telling you that the deputies, the next day were breaking down in briefing, talking about it, of things that they could not get to because the fire was so severe. But we are also limited. We are evacuating approximately 50,000 people that night with very limited resources. We just don't have the ability to get to every single home, but we're trying to do the best we can. So that's the first phase is obviously the fire, recovering from the fire. The next phase now is people coming in and trying to loot and trying to steal property that's left. So we're trying to mitigate those resources. And as the debris gets removed from the houses, we've crossed over 5,000 properties that the debris has been removed. Now, and we had 6,900 homes lost in Altadena. So we're getting very close to having all the debris removed. And one of the aspects of keeping Altadena open versus our neighbors down south is that it gave us the ability to move quickly and get the debris removed. And had we kept Altadena closed, the resources required to do that, we would have more than double of what Pasadena PD has in their entire department working every day to do that. So we chose to use those resources a different way, and it also would prevent us from having businesses the ability to reopen. It would prevent us from a lot of different things, and so we had to make just judgment calls on what would work best for the community. There was also a lot of calls to get Altadena open to the community as well. So after we had the theft going on, we've actually brought that down. As of today, in May, we're only 6 burglaries more than we had in December before the fires. So I know that the media has reported a lot of very high percentages, but Altadena historically has, in 2024, had had one of the lowest crime rates in history. So when we have an upswing in burglaries, it's going to seem like a lot compared to what we had. So now we're transitioning to the area where the lots are cleared. When we have almost 6,900 lots cleared, and the next aspect that we're very concerned with is going to be squatting. People coming onto your property, parking RVs on your property that they don't belong there, people pitching tents on your property and trying to assume possession of your property. And unfortunately, that is just one aspect of these kinds of disasters. We had a conversation with the mayor of Paradise, California up north when they had a fire, and that was one of the aspects they had to deal with as well. Everything that we're dealing with here, they have also dealt with 6 years ago when they had their fire. So one of the things we're trying to do to mitigate that is give you the tools to help us, because we need help from the community to do this. We can't do this on our own. One of the things we've come up with is putting fencing around your property. And our solution to the community was orange 4-foot height construction fence that you could get at Home Depot or Lowe's or online. And the reason we chose that is normally what people would do when they build construction sites is they'll put 6-foot chain link fence. Now it's costly, and it does not prevent anybody from getting onto your property. But what it does is it gives law enforcement the tools to say that person doesn't belong on the property, coupled with a few other things. Gives law enforcement the tools to say that person doesn't belong on the property, and now I can legally remove them. If we have an open lot and somebody puts an RV or pitches a tent in your property without you being there and physically saying you're trespassing, get off my property, deputy, arrest that person, I cannot do anything for you. So what the fencing does is it creates a barrier, because legally, if like you allow the Amazon delivery driver or the UPS or the mailman to walk onto your property, then anybody can effectively walk onto your property. So that just creates a little barrier. It's a legal barrier, essentially, coupled with no trespassing signs that tell people not to be here. We've asked that you use solar landscape lights to illuminate those no trespassing signs just at night to make it just a little bit better so that people can't say, I didn't see them. And the last thing is to fill out what's called a letter of agency, and that's the form that he was speaking about. A letter of agency basically gives us the power of attorney to arrest somebody in your property. And you can fill out essentially what if somebody that's supposed to be there, like you have family, relatives. We also are going to want to get a cell phone number that we can call you and a forwarding address so we can contact you. That way, if we do come across somebody in your property, maybe at 2 o'clock in the morning, we can call you and just verify, is this person supposed to be there? If we can't get a hold of you, we're going to effect the arrest, but we'd like to also call you as well, just to make sure. But that's the other aspect we're concerned with. It also gives us a little bit of legal tools in case somebody's trying to steal on your property as well, if there's anything left. I was speaking with a gentleman about pool equipment. Just remember that any padlock today, any chain that's made today, if you've been to Home Depot or Lowe's or any hardware store, you notice that they sell those power tools that are battery operated now. You can put a metal cutting device on there, and you can get through any padlock in less than 60 seconds. So just remember, there's nothing that's defeated. Edison will put up 12-foot walls around all of their copper wire and their supply depots. They will have lights, they have cameras, they have people walking around, and people still get in and steal the stuff at night. So there's nothing that can be defeated just by saying we're going to put up a wall and you can't come on the property. We have to have other mechanisms, and we're trying to employ some of those mechanisms, and we're brainstorming in ways we can help the community on solutions. But I know I've taken up a few minutes of time. The next phase, if I may, that we're really concerned with is going to be the rebuild. We're going to have several $1 billion of equipment come in, several $1 billion of supplies, and that's very concerning to us. So we are actively, I want you to know that we are working towards solutions. But it's going to be a difficult challenge and a process. There are many people trying to come into the area to do harm in terms of theft, and we're doing everything we can. Thank you.